Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am Stephanie Bree, and today I'm talking about conspiracy theories. So there's a lot of conspiracy theories out there, and for the most part I dismiss them as rubbish. I don't pay attention to conspiracy theories. But there's a few that I'll entertain, and that's what this video is about. When I say entertain, I mean there's a few that I don't necessarily believe in, per se. But on the surface, they're fun to think about. So let's go through the list. First up is the JFK assassination. I'm not particularly trusting of cops to begin with, so I don't necessarily believe one way or the other the official story or the conspiracy theory of the official story, that there was a second shooter. But that's one that's fun to think about, especially if you do happen to watch crime shows. Occasionally they'll tackle it, like they did an episode on Bones, where they proved there was a second shooter, which I thought was interesting. Next up is the moon landing. I 100% believe we went to the moon, so I want to put that out there. I have a lot of faith in NASA, and I don't believe that they would fake that. But that's an interesting one to think about. Like, what if we didn't go to the moon? What if they did fake it because, we couldn't quite make it? I've seen the videos, I've watched documentaries on it, I've seen all the so-called evidence for and against it. And I still believe that it happened. But that's one that's fun to think about, like, would our government do that? Especially when you take into consideration extraterrestrials, aliens, the cover-ups, right? So while we're on that subject, let's talk about Roswell, New Mexico. So this is another one that there's an official story, and then there's the what people think happened. The official story is fishy at best, so not a lot of people buy it. Most people believe that something was recovered by our government and it was covered up and hidden. I don't know where I stand on that one. Now, I'm skeptical. I'm not skeptical that the U.S. government would cover it up. That I would totally buy. But I'm skeptical that the other governments, especially like Russia and China and North Korea, would go along with it. Like they would, also cover up, to help the U.S. or whatever, for whatever reason. I'm not sure I buy that. So I'm not 100% sure on that one. We're not even going to talk about the QAnon. We're not even going to discuss it. I didn't even want to bring it up, so we're not talking about that one. Let's talk about the Illuminati for a second. This one I've heard a lot of. I have friends who believe in the Illuminati. I know a lot of people who believe in the Illuminati. I don't know where I stand on this particular one. This one seems far-fetched, but looking at how, rich people do influence the world, it's believable. It's plausible. So, my understanding, the Illuminati is this secret organization of mega rich people who rule the world, basically, in secret. They, basically are puppet masters that control all the world's governments. One of the reasons why I have a hard time with this one is because you have revolutions all around the world, overthrowing governments all the time. And so either the Illuminati are behind those overthrows, overthrowing their own puppets, or people are onto them and they're not as in control as people think they are. Either way, I don't 100% buy the Illuminati. And if you're one of those end times revelations Bible thumper people, I do not believe that there's ever going to be, quote, one world government. I don't think there's ever going to be a so-called antichrist who brings all the governments together. While we're on the subject, I don't believe there's going to be a rapture of all the Christians and they just disappear overnight. So that's one I don't buy. I am pagan, so I'm skeptical of anything the Christians say anyways. Last one I'm going to talk about is Flat Earth. Flat Earth is a bunch of bullshit. We have way too much scientific evidence to disprove that one. But when you look at mythology, when you look at the different religions of the world, and you look at the different creation myths, including the different pagan creation myths, it's a fun one to think about, a different cosmology than we're used to. I play a lot of Dungeons and Dragons, and I have Manual of the Planes, so I've studied the D&D cosmology. And if you look at our cosmology from that perspective, a multiplanar existence, it's plausible that there is the physical world that as we know it, and then there's a spiritual world. So I don't necessarily believe that there's the physical earth is flat, but the spiritual earth could be. But it's hard to fathom the two coexisting, because it's something we can't measure. We can't really measure the spiritual world, with our current technology. Which is why a lot of people are skeptical of the spiritual world, because it's like, well, you can't really prove it. You can't disprove it either. Not with our current technology. I was going to talk about Loch Ness and Bigfoot, but you're going to have to make up your mind on those ones.